Today we have to talk about a very important event that we of course predicted that it's going to happen within 60 days after the SpaceX IPO. And that is the all-important acquisition of Cursor by SpaceX. If you don't know about it, Elon Musk paid $10 billion for a call option, for an option to actually purchase Cursor for $60 billion and integrate it into SpaceX. Now, why is this so important? I made some commentary before on that transaction because we knew it's going to happen, and today it happened. And here is why this is so important. It's actually much more important than most people think. So, $60 billion acquisition, SpaceX buys Cursor. What is Cursor? Cursor is the world's most advanced harness. A harness is a system that surrounds an LLM, an AI system, a large language model, and allows people to actually use it effectively. And Cursor is the company in the world that is most implemented in Fortune 500 and other enterprise companies, large companies. They use Cursor, here's the main page, to do coding. It is the world's most advanced and most implemented coding support system. And what is a harness? A harness is not just an LLM. It is actually not an LLM. It is a thing that surrounds an LLM, an agentic system. So when you type in as a coder or programmer what you want to do, I want to develop this website, I want to refine the database, I want to create a SaaS system, I want to create some enterprise platform or app or product, then Cursor translates your request into coding instructions and works with the LLM to make sure the code that comes out of that, the HTML, whatever you want, is actually what you want. It's a meta system, a framework, a scaffold, a harness around the LLM. That is something that turned out when we had the leak, the Anthropic leak, when we saw the leak of Claude and saw how Anthropic actually instructs and prompts Claude to do what it does. It became clear that the harness is more important. That is my interpretation here, not official dogma, but my interpretation is the harness has become more important than the LLM. What is an LLM? For example, Anthropic develops frontier LLMs, large language models. OpenAI develops large language models. Gemini is a large language model. And Grok is a large language model. So you can think about it like this. This is how I depict the future. In order to deliver what SpaceX calls enterprise AI, we can actually go to it, look through the presentation of SpaceX here, what they call this enormous market of enterprise applications. Okay, look at the SpaceX presentation, and they call these enterprise applications $22.7 trillion TAM. Okay, so SpaceX says in its presentation that it's not space-enabled solutions, it's not Starlink, it's not Starlink Mobile, it is not even AI infrastructure, which is the compute. It's not consumer subscriptions. It's not digital advertising. It is enterprise AI applications that carries the crazy price of SpaceX. By the way, you know that SpaceX is going through the roof right now. Let's get the quote right here. SpaceX is going through the roof right now. And the reason for that is exactly this here, enterprise applications. And to get to enterprise applications, it is very important to get to enterprise applications. Very important that SpaceX can deliver something like Cursor. But we have to understand what holds Cursor back. What is the problem with Cursor? And why is it such a perfect match between the two? Cursor has enterprise penetration. Cursor is the most implemented agentic coding system in the world. It is bigger, in case you didn't know that, than Anthropic in terms of accounts and implementation. It is bigger than Codex by OpenAI in terms of accounts and implementation. It has a giant, because it was the first of these systems. It has a giant customer base. And the reason it fell out of fashion a little bit after being the hottest startup in the world last year, the reason it fell out of fashion was because Anthropic overtook it, because Anthropic combined multiple things. Anthropic figured out the harness system that Cursor also figured out, but on top of it, Anthropic also had an LLM. So Anthropic was able to actually do both. It was able to do the LLM, the large language model, and the harness at the same time, which gave it a tremendous advantage over Cursor. And that's why it became much hotter. It had an integrated vertical stack. Hey, on this channel, we do something very important. We deeply analyze, understand, and predict capital, AGI, and politics. Not just to beat the markets and make a lot of money, even though that's important, but also to build a new society and make the future good for all of us, the pioneers. If you want to help me on this journey, you can do that by doing a very simple thing: like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. Thank you so much for your support, and let's get back to the video. But now that Cursor has become part of SpaceX, things have shifted again. Because now SpaceX has actually not just the two things you need to really deliver advanced AI. It has actually three things. I call it the holy trinity of enterprise AI, of the digital human, of the ability to replace human workers with something superior. And the holy trinity is the harness, the agentic scaffolding that tells the LLM when you tell it to do something, how to do that and control it. The actual LLM, which is Grok for SpaceX AI. And third, massive amounts of compute. Because once you have the scaffold or the harness, the surrounding prompt and agentic coordination system, then the LLM Grok, and then massive amounts of compute with Colossus 1 and 2. Don't forget, SpaceX is the biggest compute provider for large integrated training clusters. Once you have all three, you can beat everyone in terms of delivery to the customer, superior agent systems, agentic systems, better LLMs that are fully integrated into your scaffold, and of course the compute to have rapid iterations, to be able to train and retrain, and to be able to deliver, of course, inference, to feedback the responses when people actually type something in. So the combination of these things makes SpaceX now absolutely the leader in this entire operation. And that is, of course, very, very interesting and very, very important. Here I can show you where SpaceX is currently. SpaceX again up today like crazy, 8.9%, even though it was a little higher. That is because the Nasdaq is a little choppy today. So SpaceX absolutely killing it after IPO. Look at this, 29% up. And it was already up at 160, up from 135. So SpaceX doing very, very well. I think totally overbought and will sell off at some point this year and will be way below 200. That's why I'm not buying in right now. But strategically, SpaceX is the absolute winner in the AI race right now, at least positioned as an absolute winner. And this Cursor acquisition is huge. It unlocks exactly this year. Very exciting. And my prediction would be from here on out that Anthropic will fall behind slowly over the next 12 months. And what we will see is that Cursor, in conjunction with new Grok iterations that will be integrated into Cursor and custom trained to support Cursor, as well as full stack integration with rapid retraining and iterations of Grok, now in conjunction with the Cursor huge customer and data background and foundation, will actually take the lead in coding and maybe even in some other disciplines. So in other words, we are now perfectly positioned at SpaceX to really go after this $22.7 trillion TAM and absolutely kill it and become the thing that actually makes this entire digital human theory, the digital worker, a reality. And you heard maybe about macro hard, you maybe heard about the digital optimist. This is all the same thing. It's about the idea that now SpaceX AI can deliver superior AI solutions in the sense of digital workers to enterprise. It has now the lead in the most enterprise accounts because of the Cursor acquisition. It has its foot in its little hands, little greedy hands, in the most enterprise clients of any company in the AI space. It has also the world's most advanced harness. It has also a decent frontier LLM, not as good as OpenAI or Anthropic right now, Grok, but now Grok has the data, the client access, and the alignment to a harness that could make it extremely effective very soon. And of course, finally, the total compute domination, where SpaceX and Elon's team shine the most because they can actually bring these things online faster than anyone else. And that's not even taking into account the space AI compute that's kicking in probably end of next year. All in all, very good. Still not enough to convince me to buy SpaceX, of course, because I am all into SpaceX mentally, but will not pull the trigger before the stock drops, I think, dramatically in the second half of this year, because it's just overvalued right now, tactically. Actually not overvalued, I think it's undervalued, but it's predictable that based on how Wall Street behaves, on price earnings, revenue multiples, all these kinds of things, SpaceX is destined to drop dramatically at some point once the buying pressure ceases. And that is when I will move in, because I'm extremely bullish on SpaceX long term. I hope that was interesting. See you very soon.